All right, for our next guest, we have Scotty, who is a new member of the team and hadn't been out doing any Bigfoot research before. And he wanted to go up to Hidden Valley and check it out. So I took him on a trip up there. And here's Scotty to tell us what happened. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Duke. Well, I guess the first thing I should say is I'd been kind of harassing you about going out and doing some research for, I don't know, probably a month and a half, and our schedules just didn't match up. I think there was another opportunity, but I just couldn't make it. So I really appreciated you being willing to go out and do the research when it kind of fit my schedule. We went during the week rather than the weekend, thinking that there would be fewer people up in the area, and I think we were correct. No, I think there were a few cars, but most of the cars that we saw, it's like they had been camping up there and they were leaving after the weekend. So that worked out, I think, pretty well. We got up there probably, I don't know, about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Quickly set up camp, gathered firewood, started a fire, sat around the fire till, ate some dinner, sat around the fire until pretty late at night, and then went to sleep. For those that haven't been there, I think it's probably important that they understand the spot is just incredible. It's absolutely beautiful. It's kind of a flat spot down from the road, and there is a stream that goes by it that just constantly makes noise. It's about as pretty of a place as I've ever seen. There, we saw lots of wildlife, even on that first night. And I went to bed that night, slept great. There wasn't any occurrences. I just listened to the stream, and it was very, very nice. We got up, or I got up pretty early the next morning and decided that I would go get some more firewood. And as I walked across the road and started to go up towards the firewood area I heard a whistle. So that was probably the first thing that I encountered up there. And there was nobody camped around us. I mean, absolutely nobody. We were up there all by ourselves. So it was kind of up on a hillside away from where the camp was. And then I came back with the firewood and continued to kind of hike around, and got back a little bit later and told you about the whistle. And then we decided to take a hike, and you showed me kind of their viewing area, which I thought was pretty amazing. It overlooked the camp area, and it was obvious that, a Bigfoot could sit up there and watch you the whole time that you were there hanging out.
And the obvious path coming down the hillside to their observation platform, too.
Right. And then I think we continued. We decided to hike up out into the woods on an old abandoned, looked like Forest Service fire road, and lots of vegetation around it. We walked up there for quite a while. Saw a couple tree breaks, and I think we got a picture of one of them. And we were gone for, I don't know, maybe a few hours.
Yeah, probably got back a couple hours to walk up the end. This is the first time we had ever been up to the end of this fire access road. And somebody had recently been in there chainsawing fallen trees out of the way, make it open again. So we just took advantage of it, walked all the way up to the end and back. One of the previous trips up there, some of the guys with us had found a really odd, it looked like some kind of a rock structure up there, actually. but a very vague description of where it was, which was completely insufficient to figure out where it was. We tried walking up the trail and back to find it, never did. Came back to camp again.
Yeah, there had been, we could tell on the way up there had been a rain up there, because there were a lot of puddles on that road. And unfortunately, there were horse flies everywhere, and like an idiot, I wore shorts. And by the time we walked up to the end of that road and walked back to the camp, I had, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 horse fly bites on my legs, and some of them bled pretty good. But so lots of wildlife up through there, but
yeah,
and wildflowers.
There was even a frog living in a mud puddle in the road that we were walking up.
Yeah, it was actually a lot of fun, and so it covered a lot of ground. I think we found from distances we saw some trees that may have been pushed over, but I'm not sure that we were able to really get down into that area and define that. But anyway, very, very pretty area, very great hike. Got back to camp. We had some dinner, sat around the fire pit until probably midnight, maybe even a little bit after that.
You missed the part where we went over to the far side of the valley and we found the place where Kevin had been there. And we walked around there and looked at some of the huge tree structures that were left to document. You got a picture of me standing underneath that one massive arch. And I remarked when we were there how it was deadly quiet, completely still.
It was, yeah. And those tree structures were amazing. There were several tree structures in that area. And it was very hard to walk through the area because of all the down timber. And although it may have been logged years before, it didn't look like anybody would have any reason to be in that area whatsoever.
Well, last year, Kevin and Kakalaki and those folks were up here. See that arch? Wooey woo. Let's go take a walk over there. I'll have Scott stay in position. When I get underneath it, he can get a picture for scale. So you guys can see this is a freaking big arch over here. Definitely one of the larger arches I've seen. And there's Scott. Get him a picture. Let's see what else we can find. I'm going to snap in an arch here, sort of intertwined. Interesting part here, look at the way they're laid together. The one that's on top is the younger tree, the newer one. Let's walk over here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. See the wood on this one is still brown, but the wood up here, it's be all old and gray. So this thing actually snapped first. And then after it snapped, somehow This thing got bent over. Just laying across the top of it. Okay? That look normal to you guys? Doesn't to me.
Alright guys, I don't know if you can see me, it's just me running it. I'm here in Skalkaho Pass in Montana. I just want to show you where I'm at, way up here, about 8,000 feet. Some interesting stuff that I've found. There's a big X. Right, the reason I stopped here is right on the road. Maybe I'll try to get a shot of that. But there was a tree break and a bow, both pointing in this direction. I want to show you there's Kakalaki and cat underneath the tree bow. Right there, that kind of puts it in perspective. But there's just a lot of stuff out here. It's really cool. And not even any squirrels are making any noise for us out here. While they're doing that, I'm doing this. Let me go right back over here, and there's all sorts of bows and stuff over here. Sorry if you can hear that. We're all up here just camping, and I got some interesting stuff to show you later on in another video. Something caveman and I found last night. Pretty interesting and sad at the same time, but like I said, I'll do another video that explains that. Actually, caveman found it. Beautiful up here, though I haven't been up here in years and I miss it. Let's see if you can see these down here. There's about 4 tree bows altogether. I'm not sure if you can see them down there, but sorry guys, I'm not doing real good. This camping trip this week has just about killed me. But I wanted to show you some of where I'm at right now in Montana. There's all sorts of breaks like that. You can get a different angle of it. That big old huge bow, and it is pushed down underneath the trees over there on the right hand side. See if you can see them down there. That's Cat, Wayne, and Shane. Well, like I said, this ain't gonna be too long. I'm not doing too hot, but let me hit pause and see if I can take off again when I get to the road and show you why I stopped and came over and looked here. Be back in just a second. All right, guys, this is what made me stop here and go look over there this direction where this bow is pointing. And that break is pointing right over there. And that's where I was at when I was doing the video just a few minutes ago. But love you guys. I'll see you later. I'll post this one when I get back to society and have some signal. See you guys in the next one. Love you. Bye.
Yeah, nobody had the previous year, but by the time we got there, some random logger had gone through. And actually, I was there in July when he was there for some reason. And several of what had been spectacular tree structures had actually been cut down and turned into firewood by him, apparently. They missed several others that were further. And then if you notice, they had the sign out there that said, They didn't want anybody driving in there. There was no road access, even though there were roads going further in. Those roads all had timber knocked down across them that had lumberjacks hadn't knocked across them. You pull off from the road right about a quarter mile away. Same thing. Sign up there now. They didn't have them there.
It was kind of a creepy vibe to that area, and we did not see any deer or wildlife. And I can remember, you're right, it was very quiet through there.
Not a bird, not a bug, nothing. Dead still the whole. As soon as we go to another part of the valley, it was all like, oh, back to normal.
Right. Yeah, that was an interesting area, and there were several. You pointed out to me as a newbie several of the different structures that had been built through there, up and down that hill, and I think after we did that, then we head back to
Didn't
camp.
I take you down and show you where the big teepee was too? We went down there, didn't we?
We did that on the next day.
Okay. So yeah, we went back to camp, hung out, ate dinner, and eventually
Ate dinner, hung
days, it got
out
dark.
around the yep. hung out around the fire, listened to the crick, watched the fire. But I think it was we probably didn't head to bed till probably about 1. And just kind of let the fire burn down, and then once it was burned down, we felt comfortable doing that, so went to bed, which is when the real fun started.
Yeah, I can start part of this.
I
was in at the beginning of it before you were awake. So I'm laying there, sound asleep. Somebody goes walking by my tent and kicks my air mattress. My air mattress is the same width as the bottom. So someone just walked up and whacked my air mattress, apparently with their foot, which caused the air mattress with me on it to skid about 4. So that got my attention. I woke up and went, knock it off. I started going to sleep again, and then I realized that, like I'm in my tent on my air mattress. Something just booted the air mattress and woke me up. What's going on? And as I'm drifting off to sleep, I all of a sudden hear Scott yell. And in between when that happened and when Scott yelled, here's what happened. Take it away, Scott.
So my tent was probably about 30 feet away from Duke's tent. And I was sleeping on one of those 1-inch kind of thermal pieces of foam rubber, just to kind of keep the cold from the ground off of your body. And I was laying there kind of drifting in and out of sleep. And all of a sudden I felt on that ground. Now, first of all, you got to understand that this camp spot that is close to the creek or stream is very moist. So just because of the proximity to the water. So it's very dense ground. So I'm laying there on this 1-inch mattress, and all of a sudden I start feeling an impact. And I felt probably 3 impacts, and I thought to myself, I wonder if that's Bigfoot. And I laid there for probably, I don't know. I like I said, I think I felt like 3 footsteps. I probably laid there for like 25 minutes just listening to see if I could hear anything or anything going on. And then all of a sudden I heard this bizarre noise. And it was just repetitive, and it was like synced, and it was at the back of my tent, and it seemed like Duke's rig was probably about 20 feet from the back of my tent, and it sounded like it was right in back of my tent, but not on the ground, but about, up from where I was sleeping. And I'm wondering, what in the world is that noise? And it went on for probably, Oh, I would say maybe 2 minutes before I said anything, and then all of a sudden I just yelled, "Get out of here!" And it after I yelled, it continued on for maybe 5 seconds. It didn't stop immediately. It continued on for about 5 seconds, and then it was just silence. And then I laid there and listened more, and then all of a sudden I heard Duke go, "What's going on?" And so we both got up. I think we threw some more wood on the fire, talked about that experience, and then after the fire, kind of kicked back up. We went back to bed, and nothing happened through that night after that. And
so you did finally realize
the next morning.
You did finally realize the noise, though.
So the next morning after I got up, I brought up some my spouse had given me some water bottles, and I got up and I had drank, I don't know, a couple of them that, before I'd gone to bed, and they were like sitting outside my tent. And I got up and grabbed another one and I started drinking it. And it was like, after I drank a bit of it, I pushed it. And then I realized that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, and you had a couple of empties laying in front of your tent when they decided to come over there and molest you and pick one up and go.
Exactly. So,
now, see, I hadn't heard, you didn't tell me this part before, that you had actually been awake for a while when you felt those impacts. It was quite a while in between that and when they actually started messing with you. So one of them must have over and booted my freaking mattress to wake me up before they decided to mess with you. So apparently I wouldn't miss the fun or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was an experience. I think, going out with you and doing the research, I didn't really expect that particular experience. I thought maybe we would, find some tracks and some structures, which we did, and maybe possibly, see some hiding in the trees or something like that. I didn't really expect that they'd be coming into camp and, doing something to see what the response was going to be.
Yeah, normally they wouldn't, but you were the new guy, so they had to come check you out. And the hilarious thing was that, what was it, the month before that I had been there with Sunny, they did the same damn thing with her, only both nights they came into camp and we were there. The second night, one of them actually let her see him from about 80 feet away, probably like 45 minutes before dark even, so it wasn't even, there's no doubt about what she was looking at. He was a big boy. And actually, we did the comparison pictures for that while you and me were out there, where you took the photographs and I was standing in the same place where he had been. All
right.
10 foot four and 6 foot wide of them.
Yeah. So the next day we wake up and I think the weather had turned that third day.
Yeah, that's when it got bad. That's why we weren't there much longer until, later in the afternoon. We kind of packed it in because it was just drizzling and getting progressively worse all day.
Pretty miserable. But one thing that happened the morning of that third day, which I found to be incredibly interesting, is we were sitting around the fire, I think eating something, and all of a sudden these two deer go running through the forest. I don't know, probably 50 yards from where we were sitting, like something was after them. And I think you yelled at them, "Hey," and they saw us sitting there, and all of a sudden they immediately came over towards where we were sitting. and they kind of ate some grass, but they were really close. I mean, probably as close as maybe 15 feet from us.
As I recall,
and circled around the fire in the area we were at, and hung out there for probably, I don't know, what was maybe 20 minutes, I'm guessing.
it was a good little while they were hanging around in camp. And they were like right inside the ring of the trees in camp too.
Right. And we were just, talking to them and kind of enjoying the, just the wildlife. And all of a sudden this noise came through, and it's like, how if you pick up a pine cone and you throw a pine cone and the cone makes that noise as it goes through the air, just kind of that whistly sound. Well, it sounded like something had thrown a pine cone much faster than I could ever throw it through the tops of the trees. And one of the deer took off. The other one still hung around us, but it was just bizarre. I mean, it was absolutely bizarre. And I think the other deer hung around for probably about 10 minutes or so, and then it took off.
Yeah, you guys will notice this repeating pattern during the summertime expedition show here, where every time we go out and camp out there, deer show up and come into camp, which is really weird, and not the same deer either, not even the same subspecies. We've had mule deer, blacktail, and whitetail in camp.
It was quite an experience.
Yeah, we saw some weird bird we couldn't recognize either. Colorful bird.
Yeah, it was really pretty colorful. It was a very yellow finch type bird with a red head.
Picture. Whoever knows what it is, let us know, because neither one of us could identify it. Went, what the heck is that thing? Is that native around here? Did one of the campers' pet get away or something? We really confused.
So so later that morning we decided to get up, and we hopped into my rig and drove down and looked at a couple other areas where Duke had been previously. Again, on the river, absolutely gorgeous areas. Did a little exploring down some roads that Duke hadn't been down before.
Oh, hey guys, Duke here with World Bigfoot Radio up in the middle of the Sapphire Mountain Range. Want to see what thick pine forest looks like? Yeah, this is what it looks like. Young pine forest, you must have burned off at some point in the not too distant past. Going back in again. Yeah, it's so easy to spot stuff. Like that arch right there. But anyway, just some scenery shots here. Showing you what we're going through. We're road squatching right now. We're on an unmarked road off of the main Skalkaho Pass, and just driving the back roads looking for structures, anything we can check out. So I figured I'd give you guys a little shot of some of the thicker pine forest around here. Anyway, there you go.
He took me down to one area and showed me the teepee structure, which was incredible. I don't know how much effort it took to build that thing, but it was obvious that it was a created object. It was not there by accident. Something Bigfoot had decided to build this thing, and it was massive. It was complicated. And it wasn't just the structure itself either. It looked like all of there were trees on the ground as well. I don't think there would be any way that anything could sneak into this area and get there without. I mean, if there were Bigfoot in there hanging out, there's no way that anybody could get in there without them knowing they were coming. And it was an interesting trek in there. Duke the mountain goat Sullivan just kind of slid down the hill and walked right through there, and took me probably 3 times as long to get through the kind of boggy area to it, but it was well worth it.
Yeah, seeing is believing, especially with that thing. When you get up close and you're underneath it and you look at how big it is and you realize it's, all these trees grew here, and yet mysteriously they're all sort of like intertwined together and making a perfect teepee, and they're all the same width and the same height, and there's no way in hell that's natural.
So I think after that we went up to an area further up the road, and it looked like it was an obliterated road where there used to be a Forest Service road that went in there, and they had pulled out a timber bridge and laid all the old timber planking to the side. And amazing wildflowers, absolutely amazing, just absolutely beautiful. Again, on the river, looked like in the future a trip up there, if you could get across that river and walk up into that area, that might be a good area to kind of see what kind of evidence you could find, because it wouldn't be easy to get into now that the road's been obliterated and you got a lot of second growth growing up. And
hey, we saw a little access road, pulled in here, and it turned out it isn't a little river right there, a little blockage. The road itself sort of dead ends right here, so it's sort of like a little campsite now, and it looks like they just it got rid of whatever little bridge or whatever was here at some point. You see it goes up there, but real pretty area. Yeah, all kinds of wildflowers growing here. Beauty, eh? And there you go.
Yeah, I always find those obliterated roads highly suspicious and worth investigating. Hint, hint, hint.
But I think, so then it really started raining pretty good by that point. And we head back to camp, and where I'd put my tent, essentially, it was, there were about, 2 inches of water around it. And, I forgot. Before we left and to out and explore, I was standing close to the fire ring, and all of a sudden my hair started to got electrified, and it started to stand up. And I said something to Duke, and he goes, "Yeah, you might want to move because I think you're about ready to get hit by lightning." So there were a lot of
and right then there was a thud that sounded like a rock about the size of somebody's head had been dropped from treetop level and hit the ground right next to him. And I couldn't see anything making that sound, but there was a crack and a flash, like there was a little quick snap sound and a flash at the same time. There was a little flash of light, and that's when I got doubly insistent about him getting out of the open.
Yeah, so after that, and we got back to camp, and it rained quite a bit and it didn't look like it was going to let up. We pretty much packed up and got out. Unfortunately, because it would have been interesting to see what would have happened on the third night.
Yeah, they would have definitely been in camp again, messing around. So when we were up there later in the year, and it was just me and Mike up there both nights, they came right into camp and messed with the tents. While we were gone during the day, they were in camp. We found tracks. We're gone in the afternoon down at the same teepee structure you and me were at. We got back to camp, and there's a track right in front of Michael's tent. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'd do it again in a heartbeat, and hope to next season. Hope we get a chance to do that again, dude.
You're certainly welcome back, brother. You passed the test. You didn't shriek and pee your pants and run for your truck and peel up a shower of gravel. That was the Bigfoot test, so you passed their test. And you were really great to have along there, and you were wonderful to camp with and hang around with. So you're definitely invited to come back and be part of the team again this coming summer. We're expecting to do some really big expeditions here this coming summer. We got a special new Bigfoot researcher that's moving here from another state, and I'm going to be teaming up with him this coming summer. And so it's going to be, we're thinking fairly epic. And yeah, love to have you back with us again.
Well, excellent. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And hey, thanks for having enough faith in me to go, I'm going to pester Duke until he takes me out to one of these places to show me this stuff, and then not freaking out when the Bigfoot came up and played with your water bottle. Well, it just proves to me that they got a sense of humor. I mean, as soon as that was over with and we were both talking about it and laughing our butts off, I could picture them not very far off in the woods snickering. Because, that's the kind of stuff they like to do. But later on in the year when I was there with Mike, they were throwing pebbles at my tent for almost an hour, so I couldn't frickin' go to sleep. And then when I finally did go to sleep, one of them walked right up next to the tent and woke me up again.
Yeah, I think they definitely must have a sense of humor.
Oh, yeah. Well, when me and Mike were up there, it was the kids. We found their tracks. We tracked them back across the river, and it was a 14, 13, and 16-inch track. So it was the kids that were up there messing with us. When you and me were up there, it was the adults. And when I was up there with Sonny, It was the adults.
Yeah, it was a good experience.
Yeah, lots of fun. Well, anyway, there you go. Another satisfied customer. I take people out to live interact with Bigfoot, and I don't charge them $3,000 or $300 or $3 or anything. I just force them to come on my show and talk about what happened afterwards.
It's a good exchange.
Well, what the heck? You wanted to go do a little Bigfoot trip, and you got to have Bigfoot come mess with your tent. Next time you go up there, maybe you'll get to see one. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the hope. Yep.
Yeah, that's a big honor. If you see one, it's generally because they want you to see them. They step out in the open or something like that, like they did with Sonny.
Yeah.
They trust you enough to come into camp and check you out and see if you're a good Bigfoot research team member. Well, at least they cared enough to come into camp and mess with you.
Exactly.
No, honestly, that didn't used to be the case. They would get near camp, but they wouldn't come in camp. That's just this year now they started actually coming into camp. Previous years they'd get nearby, but they wouldn't come in. Now it's like, as soon as they go in our tents, they're right there messing around. We got audio capture of them in camp, and me and Michael were there for about 45 minutes walking around, messing around with stuff.
Wow.
So, yeah, we know that was the kids again. The kids were looking at everything on the table. One of them even went over and tapped the audio recorder. You can hear their finger tapping. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for being on the show and letting everybody know about what happened while you were up there this year. And I really appreciate it and looking forward to having you back on again, man.
You're welcome. We'll talk to you later.